The debt that changed everything, the day humanity almost died. The year was 2387, and the colony ship New Dawn drifted silent and broken through the endless dark of space. Captain Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge, watching the last of their oxygen meters tick downward like a countdown to death. Behind him, 50,000 colonists lay sleeping in cryopods, unaware that their dreams of a new world were slowly becoming nightmares. 3 days earlier, everything had been perfect. The New Dawn was humanity's pride, carrying families and scientists to establish their 15th colony on the distant world of Haven's Gate. The journey should have taken 2 more weeks through the safe hyperspace lanes that connected human territory to the outer colonies. But then the impossible happened. A cascade failure in the ship's quantum drive core had torn them out of hyperspace in the middle of nowhere, billions of miles from any known star system. Worse yet, the radiation from the damaged drive was slowly poisoning everything on board. The ship's medical bay reported that everyone would be dead within 6 days, and there was no way to repair the damage with their current resources. "Sir, we've tried everything," Chief Engineer Lisa Park said, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "The radiation is spreading faster than we can contain it. Even if we could send a distress signal, the nearest human ship is 3 months away." "Captain," Rivera nodded grimly. He had already made peace with their fate. In his captain's log, he had written final messages to Earth, explaining what happened and asking that their families be told they died with hope in their hearts. But hope was becoming harder to find with each passing hour. The miracle in Crystallon, the 4th day when death felt so close that people could taste it in the recycled air. Something impossible appeared on their sensors. A ship, unlike anything in human databases, moved toward them with the graceful flow of liquid light. It was shaped like a massive crystal formation, translucent and beautiful, pulsing with soft rainbow colors that seemed to breathe with life itself. The communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Captain, they're trying to contact us. The signal is strange. It's not radio or quantum pulse. It's almost like music." The view screen shimmered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with the presence of beings that took Rivera's breath away. They were tall and elegant, their bodies seeming to be made of living crystal that caught and reflected light in patterns, too beautiful to be natural. Their faces were kind, with large eyes that held the wisdom of ages, and when they spoke, their voices harmonized like a choir of wind chimes. "We are the Vanari," the lead being said, and somehow the words translated perfectly into human language. "We have found your vessel in distress. We offer assistance, though we are strangers to your kind." Captain Rivera struggled to find his voice. In all of humanity's expansion into space, they had encountered only 3 other intelligent species, and first contact protocols demanded careful diplomatic procedures. But with death so close, there was no time for formality. "We are dying," he said simply. "Our ship is poisoned with radiation, and we cannot repair it. If you can help us, we would be forever grateful." The Vanari leader, who introduced herself as Harmony Singer Veltar, studied the human ship with instruments that seemed to read the very essence of matter itself. Her expression grew sad as she understood the scope of the disaster. "Your people face great suffering," she said. "To save them, we must give much of our own life force. Our ship carries healing crystals that can cleanse the poison from your vessel, but using them will leave us weakened for many cycles. We must also share our energy reserves to power your return to safety." Rivera felt his heart stop. These beings were offering to sacrifice their own well-being to save complete strangers. "Why?" he whispered. "You don't know us. You owe us nothing." Veltar's crystal face seemed to smile with warm light. "In the great song of the universe, all life is connected. To save one note is to preserve the harmony of all. This is the way of the Vanari." The salvation what followed was the most beautiful display of selfless kindness that humanity had ever witnessed. The Vanari ship extended crystalline appendages that touched the New Dawn's hull, and immediately, the deadly radiation began to fade. The ship's systems, which had been failing one by one, slowly came back to life as pure energy flowed from the Venari vessel into their own. But the cost to the Venari was visible. Their ship's brilliant light dimmed, and Veltar herself seemed to fade as she channeled her people's life force into saving the humans. When Rivera protested, begging them to stop before they harmed themselves, she only smiled. "A song half sung is no song at all," she said. "We will see this through to its proper ending." For 3 days, the Venari worked tirelessly. They not only cleansed the radiation but also repaired the New Dawn's quantum drive with technology far beyond human understanding. They shared their food when the ship's supplies ran low, and their healers tended to humans who had already begun showing symptoms of radiation sickness. Most remarkably, they asked for nothing in return. When Captain Rivera offered to share human technology, cultural information, or even territorial rights, Veltar politely declined. "We have what we need," she said. "The joy of seeing your people safe is payment beyond measure." When the New Dawn was finally ready to continue its journey, the Venari ship was barely more than a dim glow in space. They had given so much of themselves that they would need months to recover their strength. Yet harmony singer Veltar stood on her bridge with the same peaceful smile, waving goodbye as the human ship disappeared into hyperspace. Captain Rivera's final log entry that day would become one of the most important documents in human history. "We have been saved by beings of pure kindness. Humanity owes a debt that can never be repaid, but by God we will never stop trying." The promise carved in steel, when the New Dawn finally reached Haven's Gate and the story of their rescue spread across human space, something unprecedented happened. From Earth to the outer colonies, from military high command to civilian governments, humanity spoke with one voice. This debt would be remembered. Admiral Sarah Chen, who had been Lieutenant Chen on that fateful voyage, was now 50 years older, and in command of Earth's entire space defense network. She had never forgotten the crystal beings who saved her life, and she had spent decades preparing for a day that might never come. In the deepest vaults beneath Earth's military headquarters, she activated a protocol that had been carefully hidden for 150 years. The Venari protocol was simple in its wording but staggering in its implications. Should the Venari species ever face extinction, humanity will respond with every resource at its disposal, regardless of cost, distance, or political consequence. For 5 generations, this protocol had remained dormant, known only to the highest levels of human command. But it had never been forgotten. In secret shipyards hidden in asteroid fields and behind distant moons, humanity had built something that defied every treaty and alliance in the galaxy. A fleet designed for one purpose only. The Gratitude Fleet, as it came to be known, consisted of 77 ships, each one incorporating both human engineering and modified Venari technology that had been painstakingly reverse-engineered from data recorded during the rescue. These ships carried the most advanced weapons and shields humanity had ever created. But more importantly, they carried something no other fleet in the galaxy possessed: absolute moral certainty. The day the stars called Admiral Chen was reviewing fleet deployment reports in her office when the ancient communication array in Earth's deepest ocean suddenly activated for the first time in 150 years. The signal was faint, almost lost in the cosmic background radiation, but its harmonic signature was unmistakable. It was Venari. The message was brief and filled with pain. "The harmony is breaking. The devourers have come. The song of our people fades. If any remember the light we shared, please, help us." Admiral Chen stood motionless for a long moment, then pressed her hand to a bioscanner that had waited 150 years for this touch. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in bunkers that officially didn't exist, klaxons began to wail. The Venari protocol was active. Within 6 hours, the impossible happened. Ships that weren't supposed to exist launched from hidden facilities across human space. Crews who had trained their entire lives for a mission they hoped would never come, reported to duty stations with tears in their eyes and fire in their hearts. The fastest human ship in existence, the Deep Space Scout Remembrance, had already reached the edge of Venari territory and transmitted back images that made Admiral Chen's blood run cold. The beautiful crystal cities that had once sung with harmony were now dark and broken. Massive insect-like ships swarmed around Venari worlds like parasites, consuming everything in their path. The Catharan swarm had found the Venari, and they were everything that the crystal beings were not: cruel, hungry, and utterly without mercy. They consumed technology, absorbed energy, and left only empty silence where once there had been life and beauty. But as Admiral Chen watched the tactical display showing 77 human ships moving toward certain death to honor a 150-year-old debt, she smiled. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity. They never forgot a kindness, and they never abandoned a friend. All ships, she broadcast across the fleet. This is Admiral Chen. Today, we honor the promise our species made, long ago. Today we show the galaxy what human loyalty really means. The Venari saved us when we were strangers. Now we save them as family. The response from 77 ship captains was immediate and unanimous. For the harmony, for the debt, for humanity's honor. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the Gratitude fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying humanity's answer to the call of ancient friends. In the depths of space, a debt 150 years in the making was about to be paid in full. The galaxy learns what human loyalty means, the sight that broke hearts. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship Harmony's Echo as her fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Venari space, and what she saw nearly brought her to her knees. The beautiful crystal world of Velthanor, where she had once seen cities that sang with light and joy, was now a graveyard of broken music. The Catharan swarm had been busy. Massive biomechanical ships, each one looking like a fusion of insect and machine, crawled across the surface of 3 Venari worlds like metallic locusts. They were literally eating the planet, consuming the living crystal formations that were both the Venari cities and their bodies, converting everything into more ships for their endless hunger. "My God," whispered Commander Torres, the fleet's tactical officer. "There are thousands of them. How did they multiply so fast?" "The Catharan consume and convert," explained Dr. Elizabeth Cray, the fleet's xenobiology expert who had spent decades studying the few encounters other species had survived with the swarm. "Every piece of technology they eat makes them stronger. Every world they devour becomes part of their collective consciousness. They're not just killing the Venari, they're erasing them from existence." But even as the scope of the disaster became clear, Admiral Chen's resolve only hardened. This was exactly what the Venari Protocol had been created for. The moment when the galaxy's kindest species faced extinction, and only humanity remembered to care. "Fleet-wide communication," she ordered. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. What you're seeing is why we're here. The Catharan swarm thinks they can destroy beauty and kindness without consequence. Today, we prove them wrong. The impossible plan. The tactical situation was hopeless by any reasonable standard. The human fleet consisted of 77 ships, while preliminary scans showed over 3,000 Catharan vessels of various sizes swarming through the Venari system. Even with humanity's advanced technology, they were outnumbered 40 to 1. But Admiral Chen hadn't survived 5 decades in Space Command by being reasonable. As she studied the tactical displays, her mind raced through possibilities that no military academy would ever teach. The key wasn't to fight the Catharan. On their terms, it was to change the rules entirely. "Dr. Cray," she called. "In your research on the Venari rescue 150 years ago, what was the most remarkable thing about their healing crystals?" The scientist consulted her files quickly. They didn't just remove radiation, they converted it into pure life energy. The crystals could take any form of destructive force and transform it into something that healed and protected. "And the Catharan swarm feeds on technology and energy?" "Yes, but..." Dr. Cray's eyes suddenly widened as she understood. "Admiral, you're not suggesting we try to weaponize Venari healing technology." "Not weaponize," Chen corrected with a small smile. "Amplify. Commander Torres, patch me through to whatever Venari command structure still exists. If there are any Harmony singers left alive, I need to speak with them immediately." The communication that followed was one of the most important conversations in galactic history. Deep beneath the crystal caves of Velthanor, Harmony singer Melandra and the last 700, Vanari survivors were preparing for their final song, a death chant that would at least ensure their passing had beauty. When Admiral Chen's face appeared on their crystal communication screen, Melandra's ancient eyes filled with something that had been absent for months. Hope. "Sarah Chen," she sang, her voice carrying harmonics of joy mixed with sorrow. "The small human who grew strong. You have come to share our final melody?" "I've come to change the tune," Chen replied firmly. "Harmony singer, I need you to trust me one more time. Your people's healing crystals, can they be grown larger, much larger?" "The great Harmony could create crystal formations the size of moons," Melandra replied. "But we are too few now, and too weak." "Why do you ask?" Admiral Chen's smile was fierce and full of hope. "Because I think we can turn your gift for healing into something that will save not just the Vanari, but teach the entire galaxy a lesson about what happens when you threaten kindness itself." The Harmony of War. What followed over the next 18 hours was the most unusual military operation in galactic history. Instead of attacking the Catharan swarm directly, the human fleet worked with the surviving Vanari to implement a plan that seemed impossible even by the standards of science fiction. Using human industrial replicators combined with Vanari crystal growing techniques, they began creating massive healing crystals in the space around each threatened world. But these weren't ordinary crystals. They were amplified by human quantum technology to operate on a scale the Vanari had never imagined. The Catharan swarm, detecting the energy buildup, turned their attention from consuming planets to attacking the human fleet. Thousands of biomechanical ships swarmed toward the 77 human vessels like angry wasps, their adaptive weapon systems already analyzing and countering human defensive measures. But Admiral Chen was counting on this. "All ships, Phase 2, she commanded. "Let them come." "Dr. Cray, are the crystals at critical resonance?" "Crystal formations at 97% harmony," the scientist reported, her voice tight with excitement and terror. "Admiral, if this works, it'll be the most beautiful thing anyone has ever seen. If it fails..." "It won't fail," Chen said with absolute certainty. "The Vanari saved us when we had nothing to offer but gratitude. Now we save them with the same gift they gave us: hope." The Catharan ships reached the human fleet and began their assault, their adaptive weapons quickly overwhelming human shields and armor. For a terrifying moment, it looked like the rescue mission would end in disaster. Several human ships were critically damaged, and the Catharan swarm pressed their advantage with mechanical ruthlessness. Then, Harmony singer Melandra and her survivors began to sing the song that saved worlds. The crystal formations that humanity and the Vanari had built together suddenly blazed with light that could be seen from 3 star systems away. But this wasn't destructive energy. It was pure creation, the same force that had once saved the new dawn but amplified beyond anything the universe had ever witnessed. The healing crystals didn't attack the Catharan ships. Instead, they began to heal them. The biomechanical swarm had spent eons consuming and converting organic life into mechanical components, creating creatures that were neither fully alive nor completely machine, existing in a state of constant hunger and pain. But the Vanari healing energy didn't see enemies to be destroyed. It saw beings to be restored. Across the Vanari system, Catharan ships began to change. The mechanical parasites that had consumed their organic hosts were gently separated and healed. Creatures that had been twisted into tools of destruction were restored to their original forms. Species that had been thought extinct for millennia, now free and whole again. The lead Catharan ship, a massive creature that had once been the queen of a beautiful insectoid race called the Zephyrians, suddenly stopped its attack and broadcast a message of pure wonder. What have you done to us? We remember who we were before the hunger." Admiral Chen responded with tears streaming down her face. "We learned from the best teachers in the galaxy that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to heal instead of harm." The galaxy watches news of the Battle of 7 Suns, as it came to be known, spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The impossible had happened. Humanity had ended a war not through superior firepower, but through superior compassion, using the very gifts their former saviors had taught them. But the story didn't end there. As word spread that humans had risked everything to honor a 150-year-old debt to a pacifist species, something unprecedented began to happen across the galaxy. The Thrakari Empire, which had been neutral in the HFY conflict, suddenly announced they were sending aid to help rebuild the Venari worlds. The Silicon Confederacy, notorious for their cold pragmatism, established the first interspecies hospital on the border of Venari space. Even the warlike Gorvani clans declared that any species that could inspire such loyalty from humanity deserved protection and respect. Within a year, the Venari system had become the first truly neutral ground in galactic history, where species that had been enemies for centuries came together to learn from both human determination and Venari wisdom. The price of kindness. Admiral Chen stood in the crystal garden of New Velthanor 5 years after the battle, watching human children play alongside young Venari in pools of singing light. The rebuilt Venari cities were more beautiful than ever, incorporating both crystal harmony and human engineering in ways that created entirely new forms of art. Harmony singer Melandra approached, her crystalline form now fully healed and brighter than ever. "Sarah Chen, who grew strong," she sang. "Do you ever regret the choice your species made? You could have remained hidden, safe in your corner of the galaxy." Admiral Chen smiled, watching a human girl teach a young Venari how to skip stones in a pool of liquid music. "Melandra, my people learned something important 150 years ago. Kindness isn't a weakness to be hidden. It's a strength to be shared. The galaxy is better because you saved us, and it's better because we saved you." "And what of the cost?" the Harmony singer asked. "Your secret fleet is no longer secret. Other species now know humanity's true military capabilities." "Good," Chen replied firmly. "Let them know. Let every species in the galaxy understand that humanity remembers every kindness and honors every debt. Maybe that knowledge will inspire more kindness and fewer debts." As if summoned by her words, a communication officer approached with a priority message. "Admiral," he said, "we're receiving distress signals from the Kalani Republic. They're under attack by the Vorthan raiders, and they're requesting assistance under the new Galactic Mutual Aid Treaty." Admiral Chen looked at the message, then at Harmony singer Melandra, then at the human and Venari children playing together in the garden. "Send a reply," she said. "Tell them help is on the way, and patch me through to Fleet Command. It sounds like it's time to show the galaxy what we've learned about turning kindness into strength." The stars themselves seemed to sing approval as another human fleet prepared to launch, not for conquest or revenge, but to honor the simple principle that had changed the galaxy forever. Kindness remembered becomes hope shared, and hope shared becomes a force that no darkness can overcome. In the end, the Venari had saved humanity twice, once from death in the depths of space, and once from the darkness of a galaxy that had forgotten how to care. And humanity had returned the favor not just with ships and weapons, but with something far more valuable, proof that kindness, once planted, can grow into something beautiful enough to light up the stars themselves.